Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to Brilliance Business, conversations with leading experts in business. And today I have an incredible guest, Brian Sebastion. Brian is a producer and radio TV host, and our topic today is giving voice to the voiceless. Brian, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Thank you. So I've been looking forward to this. I don't look forward to a lot of things, but I've been looking forward to this one.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you today, Brian. Before I get started, I just need to make a legal disclaimer that Brian is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show. Brian, I was lucky enough to be a guest on your incredible show recently, Movie Reviews and More, with such big reach, over 7 million exposure, viewership. It's just absolutely incredible, Brian. But for our listeners that don't know about you and what you do, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Well, I came out of home video. I started out of that, but I started in the radio in the early 80s as an intern at an all-news radio show. And, back in the day, you had to find a way to try to get in. So I went in through the news side of things, which is kind of where you are in a way. And through that, getting up to the late 80s when I moved to California from Connecticut, I got into home video and voiceovers. Now, if you think of the home video phrase, think of any home video stores that you can find. There's very few, if any, less. In the United States, there's one Blockbuster left. That's it. So I took that mode and created Movie Reviews and More in October of 1993. It's the same format that Netflix uses. Reed Hastings, I should say Ted Sardos, he came from the home video mode like I did. So he uses it and I use it, and it still works to this day. So with that, I always wanted to do something different that people weren't doing. If everybody was going left and right, I was going down to center. If they were going down to center, I was going to left and right and going underground. So I always wanted to do something different that would stand out and stand the test of time. And it has, and it will.
We have the same thinking, Brian. If everyone's going one way, I go the other way. And I like that about you. That is how to stand out and how to create success. Let's talk a little bit about Movie Reviews and More. It's such an entertaining show that really does give entertainment and value, and is really, really such an educational show. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Movie Reviews and More was always, or the more part was always going to be more important to the movie reviews. When I started in October of 1993, all I knew is that the more was going to be more important than movie reviews. Now, this is in 1993. At that point, you had the movies Clerks coming out. This is before really internet starts to take off. The .com phrase doesn't come in until the late 90s. But it's one of those things where I didn't know what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be about fitness. I knew maybe in the sports, definitely movies, but a different way. Now, where you see where we are now, I did the right thing. And then with guidance on the spiritual side of things, because I've been practicing Buddhism for 33 years now, it's one of those things where you need to see what's coming up. You've got to see how the earth is changing. You've got to see how businesses are changing, smart tech and things like that. So with that, when I was doing a lot of one-on-one interviews, I wanted to make sure that I would stand the test of time, meaning I was always a small guy. I was never syndicated. You were supposed to be syndicated to be invited to a lot of things. So I said, how can I get in? What's another way to get in? I want to represent those people that would never get the opportunity, say if you're in the world of fitness, to talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger on the movie side, not the fitness side. And so by doing things like that, I'm like, oh, what would happen if I brought someone who was suffering from depression or bipolar, or who hadn't come out yet, who just needed to talk, but you got to take them out of their cycle, their world, or where they are, bring them into yours, show them that there's other things that can be done, and hope. And so I would always do that. I would always bring friends to my interviews, which you were never supposed to do. But the reason I brought my friends to a lot of the stuff that we were doing for movie reviews and more, because it gave them an opportunity to meet their people that they looked up to, that they would never get a chance to meet in a room with maybe 10 people, or sometimes just one person. And they would sit there and they would be in awe. Because they would never get this opportunity, because there's so many limited people that were doing what we were doing. So it's almost like being invited to the Oscars as a guest and sitting up in the premier seats with a bunch of celebrities. That's never going to happen. So I always wanted to do that and open those doors for everybody.
You're really giving your guests a great spotlight and platform to really share what they're about and really add value to the audience as well. And I'm a little bit jealous, Brian, actually. Everyone check out Brian Sebastion on Instagram. Honestly, the celebrities that you've rubbed shoulders with and you're in rooms with and photos with, I'm particularly jealous of the Paris Hilton shot, Brian.
Well, that's an interesting story, because if you remember how Paris started out, for those people who don't know, she's part of the Hilton family. Think of the Hilton hotels, Baron Hilton. It was an honor, and we became friends. Her mom, Kathy Hilton, is a very, very nice woman. Very, very nice. Her dad, Rick Hilton, was really cool too. I have a photo up there with Kathy, Rick, and the Rivers family, Joan and Melissa Rivers. I took that photo. That's one of my favorite photos that I took, that I put them together. There wasn't a photographer around. I said, let's take this photo of this. And Paris was off to the side of that. And then, I took one of Paris, her mom, and her dad, which her dad really liked. It was at the Langham Hotel Resort and Spa in Pasadena, California. And then, Joan Rivers was kind of like my celebrity mom from a distance. When I would see her, we would just talk, and she was always so very gracious to me. And then, so meeting Paris on a different thing, I think she liked the way that I acknowledged her parents, and it wasn't really about her, but it was about her parents, because they're really nice people. And then, so for that one with Paris, that was for her kind of growing up now, after she was like a bad girl with Nicole Richie, if you remember those two.
I do.
Causing trouble all the time. Now she's developed into a smart young lady. I haven't seen her in a couple years, but we just run in different circles. But we will be running into each other, I would say, if not this year, definitely next year.
Well, tell me when and where, and I will be there, Brian.
All right. So I will remember that, Mark, because I would always ask people, who would you want to meet if you could, and why? And that was always my same question going back into 1988. I would always ask that question to people. I still ask that question because there's always someone that inspires someone that they may not have met. And so I always made that dream come true. And I'm very, very proud of that.
I actually like her because she has a fun sense of humour, but she's a very clever businesswoman. And there's talk that her mom is going into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what we've been hearing here in the UK.
I'm not sure, because she's been doing podcasts lately, so I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. But then again, she's not married, if I remember it either, Or did she get married? I mean, I might have missed that one.
So, Brian, tell us a little bit more about the clients that you serve. What do they look like, Brian?
They were businesses that I found at gifting suites. So for anybody who's never been to a gifting suite, it's where the celebrity shows up. Think of this. Think the Oscars just happened yesterday. So before that, you would have a whole week of festivities. where you'd be invited to, say, Mercedes-Benz. So Mercedes-Benz would have maybe, if you're like a Brad Pitt or a Tiger Woods, they'd give you a car. They'd gift you a car, something like that. So for the average gifting suite for the average celebrity, you walk in, you're introduced, you're on their red carpet, you do a bunch of interviews, and then you walk in, and for the ones that I was always going to, you'd have like 25 vendors. Those vendors would always be interesting brands. Some of them new, some of them straight out the gate, just wanting to get their wares into a celebrity's hand or an influencer's hands. So I would always find those companies, because if you would spend a lot of money as that company, hoping that a celebrity like a Chaz Dean hair products or Spike Lee, who won best adapted screenplay last year, would hold that, and then that would mean something. So I always wanted to help those companies that spent a lot of money. I would want to help them after all the lights were turned off. What happens to this company after they spent all this money? I would want to have them as a sponsor. So I found a bunch of great small companies that have been with me since 2017 now. So one since 2016. And I told them how I was going to do something in a different way. I never wanted to do a one and done type of thing. Pay me for this, you get one shot. That doesn't work. So you got to always keep things out there, because there's many, many people that have never seen it. One person might see it once, but what about everybody else? So I found great companies like the Restroom Kit. Now they're first responders. I had my own hand sanitizers for 5 years. Ellipto hand sanitizer, Tim O'Connor, the CEO out of Australia, but he lives in the US. And it's the cleanest hand sanitizer with only 4 ingredients in it. Ellipto was one of them, but no chemicals. So what did everybody need last year? Hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Kit is when you're traveling, hiking, if you have babies in your car, in a plane, train, automobile, we can take them out. They have wipes that you can wipe everything, and you can go to porta potties because they're disgusting. So you can actually put everything down on top of that. And then your bottom, they go, we want to protect your bottom. They become first responders because during hurricanes, tornadoes, or any disasters, they come in handy because people need water and they need stuff like that. I found hemp water. One of my friends who's a cancer survivor, she hates drinking water. We all need at least 16 glasses of water a day. Hemp water is the only water that she can use. We have Popper and Barkley now. I love the brand because I love the CEO, Adam Grossman, because he was really cool. So I like to find these brands that no one is paying attention to. No one would give even the slightest hint of thing. And while you're looking to the left, I'm going to the right and sitting and talking with them and say, hey, I want to have you on my show. I want to have you as a sponsor. And it's worked.
And you're really supporting those that really need that little extra boost, Brian, which is absolutely amazing, giving them the exposure and, like you said, giving voice to the voiceless. It's really, really vital to lift companies up, small businesses that really want to get their message out to the world. Tell us a little bit about the ha-ha moment that led to the launch of your business.
Well, it comes out of the home video area again, because what happened was there wasn't anybody doing of what I wanted to do, of what I saw. Meaning when, if you think about the last time you went into a video store. You'd go in, you'd want to say, there's so many videos in here. How would you choose? You see the new releases, but what about some of the classics that you may have never seen? So I always watched all of those videos. I watched everything I could get my hands on that came out of the, out of, say, England, out of Switzerland, out of Australia. I wanted to see what movies that were coming out of Barcelona, Spain. And then I would recommend these to people. So it was one of those things where, I know what to do. So in the old days in the US on Channel 3 was really a nothing channel. So when public access started, and for those people that don't know what public access was, it's one of those things where you would put your your VCR on the Channel 3, and then that would be how you would watch your videos. Well, for public access, it was on Channel 3. In California, and then certain other high numbers like Channel 56 in like a New York type of thing. Well, that's where anybody could start like their own little channel sort of like an earlier version of YouTube, except you wanting to get on a national TV because that's what was available then. There was no YouTube in the 90s. So the best thing you could do is, how do you get on TV? Well, you couldn't just go and get on TV. So what they said was, and I talked to the MPAA. The MPAA in the United States is the Motion Picture Academy of America. Now they're called Motion Picture Academy, just MPA. They said you had to have 5 directors and 5 producers. And I'll never forget this. They mentioned you have to get Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, James Cameron to sponsor or endorse your show so that you could be accredited. I said, I'm never going to get these people. I don't even know who they are really and how to reach them. So what I figured out, and this is how I figured it out, well, I could be the producer and I can be the host and I can get the guy from public television who's directing to be the director. And then I can write a letter and say, here's the reviews that I did for, like, back in that time was Clerks, Kevin Smith film, and then a couple other things. That's how I got accredited. So from that, I go, this is how it could work. I can do my own movie reviews at this point because I couldn't do it for print. I couldn't get on TV like Siskel and Ebert. For anybody who remembers those two, they always gave the thumbs up or thumbs down sign. There's no way I could go out of there. So at that point, and then you have to start to hobnob with people. So a lot of celebrities would come in and I would recommend videos for them to watch. And they love my movie taste. And then I'll never forget Sean Penn's brother, Chris Penn, used to come in. I used to give him videos. A guy named Barry Barnhouse from Vidmark, Trimark Videos, which was a huge thing on VHS at that point. They make a lot of low-budget films, but they were pretty good, and they did very, very well. I would always recommend it, and they go, well, why don't you do movie reviews? And I go, well, how do you do that? And that's what led to everything, doing things, what we're doing today. That format still works. You just modify it, and you just keep updating it.
Such an interesting journey that you have been on, Brian. I want to know what really motivates you every day to jump out of bed.
Well, it's one of those things, knowing that no one is still doing what we're doing. That just blows my mind. We're not, never have been in competition with anybody. It's not about that. I welcome people who can do what we're doing. And the more people who are doing what we're doing, it makes the world a better place environmentally, especially with the way things are now. We all need water, so we have to have those water things. When I'm looking at water companies and like Drinkable Air or WaterGen, capturing the water, recycling it, these are important things to help not only us as humans, but the planet. Can I find a company that serves water without the plastic? Because a lot of plastic ends up in the ocean and we don't need that anymore. Or it ends up in landfills and it takes a while for it to break down. We can't keep doing that. So I want to find those companies like that offer different solutions, different things. And it's always a small company that people may not recognize. A lot of the great companies with technology are outside the U.S., unfortunately, right now. And so those are the companies I want to reach out to. I want to have them first. I want to be able to showcase what they're doing. I want them to become my sponsor. And then I want to show them how I'm going to take that company and have them shine on being on movie reviews and more with the people that we have with it.
We're clever species, human beings, Brian, but sometimes our thinking is so thick and backwards. With our technology, there must be so many different ways we can do water without plastic, but sometimes we're just a little bit backwards with things, aren't we? It's just such a shame that we're so clever, but sometimes humans can be ignorant to things that are damaging the planet.
Well, the bad thing is that some people don't care and some people get it too late. I call it building, Noah's Ark. Like if you built Noah's Ark, for those people to believe that was an ark, because there's a lot of people that just don't believe. We built the ark. We built the train. We own the rails. The sea is there. Time is our friend. It's not our enemy, and it's on our side. Time is not on a lot of people's side, and it's not their friend. So because we started doing this a while ago, things are moving the way we want to. So we're leading the way of what we're doing. We're showing people where to go and how to do it, because you can't do it once you've had a catastrophe. You have to be preventive, not on the defense when it's too late.
I agree totally. So my next question, what sets your business apart and what unique need are you filling for your clients?
Well, we have two shows that have 1.1 million views a day and counting. One is at 1,186,723 views.
Wow.
That's just one out of Tennessee. That show's not on YouTube. The other one's at 1,109,000 and a couple hundred views. That one's about a book, documentary, 5-time cancer survivor, Elvis Presley brand. She's my Southern mom, Edie Han. Now, did I know those two shows that we did in 1 in 20? We did them all. We did them in 2018, 1 in 2019. Did I know they were going to get there? No, I knew they were going to do well. I thought once you got to 1 million views, it would just stop. Now, these are views. I don't go by followers. I don't go by likes, and I don't go by subscribers. But I always say you can always unsubscribe to someone. You can always unlike something, but you can't unview a view. And you can always unfollow someone, but you can't unview a view. And so that's what sets us aside. We're just going by viewerships. So if the NFL and the World Cup go by views, how many people are watching those big games, then that's what I'm going by, because it still works. So if I'm just pushing views and not worry about the followers and subscribers, we're doing good. So when we're at 7.1 million views as of today and still counting, our views always go up. They never stay the same, and they can't drop because they're views. I've watched people who are influencers who I was following 2-3 years ago, and they're still at the same. It might say 235,000 followers. Well, I don't see it going up. So what is the bigger number? 7.1 million views a day and counting, or 325,000 followers? So if I find you and I passed you, what does that tell you?
Well, the thing is, Brian, just because you've got high subscribers, that doesn't mean they're viewing what you put out. Whereas, like you've said, a view is a view, and that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be seen and heard. So it's incredible work that you're doing, Brian. I would like to know, why do you feel your service is important, especially in today's modern world?
Because we're here to protect Mother Earth. The Earth is changing. There's a lot of things on the horizon that people didn't see. Like I said, last year was my best year ever. We saw this coming October 3rd of 2018, May of 2018. So we had enough time to do it, but there's never enough time to be preventive. It's almost like watching an asteroid or a comet or circle the planet. You see these things, oh, this one went by. But what happens when one hits us? Remember where the dinosaurs were and what happened with them? What happens when it hits planet Earth? We're gone. So for us, for the Dream Weaver Artist Ranch, we have a place in Northern California in Redding that's sustainable, environmentally friendly, and it's going to be total net zero, meaning no plastic. We want to be able to showcase our tiny houses, our tiny brewery, our tiny winery, our tiny restaurant. We want to be able to help those people who have felt left out, who've lost their homes, who need a place to go, a safe place to go. It's on granite, so we don't have to worry about San Andreas fault or earthquake. It's on granite. You're on granite, you're good. We're high enough up so we don't have to worry about smog. We don't have to worry about a tsunami because those things have happened. We don't have to worry about that. Our soil for 10 acres that we're planting our own food on has never been contaminated. There's no fracking on it. There's never been a fire on it. It's fertile soil, meaning our food that we grow is going to be really, really good and really healthy for you. LGBT, anybody who's been left out, if you find your way there, you'll be welcomed in. Just because you invite everybody, that doesn't mean everybody's welcome, but the right people will come, if that makes sense.
I'll be there. Now, I know, Brian, you've got all...
Well, yeah, you will be there.
I certainly will be. You try and stop me. I can't wait to get out to LA. It's calling me. Now, I know you've got lots of client success stories, Brian. I want you to just pick one that stands out to you.
I would say, the Restroom Kit, because they were a small minority company. You're not thinking of when, the health hazards when you go to the bathroom or when you're traveling. But the thing is that I liked about them, they were helping people when Puerto Rico had their earthquakes. That the two things that you need people to reach out, you need water and you need food when you have a catastrophe. If you see how the planet is going, there's a lot of catastrophes happening. So
Yes.
I found them at the end. I couldn't be happier for them. They're our friends. Just because they've been one sponsor for 1 year, I don't ever have to ask them for money ever again. I just like the product. And again, you gotta like people's product. You gotta like people, or else you're just not going to be involved with them. So for them, it's good to see the growth. They look forward to seeing when we have them on the shows. They turn everything around and beyond because they just like us. And it was one of those things. They didn't know who I was. I didn't know who they were. I'm like, oh, I can do something with this. So I always show the Restroom Kit.
And when you build great relationships, Brian, and you serve your clients like you do, you're so passionate about it. It's long term. It's not just a quick win. Those clients stay with you for the long duration. And how do your clients typically hear about you and find you? And are there certain life moments that usually lead to them seeking you out, or do you seek them out?
Oh no, I go and find them. A lot of them don't, they hear about us now, but I'd rather find you than you find me, because or else everybody's going to throw themselves at us. Just because you're Coca-Cola doesn't mean I don't drink Coke. I'll have a Sprite occasionally, but they have water products, Drink Real Water, which I used to have as a sponsor for a while. I want stuff that stands out, stuff that's unique. Like I said, environmentally friendly, sustainable, anything that falls into net zero, telecommunications, AR, AI. I don't like stuff like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Those are fads to me. I want stuff that's going to be here to survive the next 15, 20 years. I don't want to have to worry about the stock market going up and going down. These are things that are solid, that will help the average person. That's what the stuff that I like.
I love it, Brian. You would love my toothpaste then, because it's aloe vera. It doesn't contain any fluoride, because I'm not keen on fluoride, but it's totally natural. I can imagine that would be something you would love to get your hands on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because fluoride, as we know now, is not good for you.
Yes. It's not good for the pineal gland. That's why I don't mess with it, because of my spiritual lifestyle. Brian, I have really enjoyed having you on the show today. I know I'm coming on your show again in August. I'd love you to come on my TV show as well, so that's another opportunity for you. Is there anything we didn't cover that you would like to share?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to always tell people, just because you have a good product doesn't mean that people automatically are going to flock to it. You're going to have to do the work. And people, I think they forget that. Just because you throw it up on Facebook or you throw it up on Instagram, that doesn't mean everybody's seeing it. That's just two formats. What about the rest of the formats around the world? You have to pay attention to those things. But also when it comes to it, don't be afraid to reach out and get noticed, because you've got to do that,
Brian, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. How can our audience connect with you? How can they follow you and see all your amazing work?
A couple things. They can go, you can always see what we're doing on Facebook, Brian Sebastion 169 on Facebook. That's easy. You can always go to the website. And when Mark, we did all this without a website. I only had a website, in November? And it's because someone created it for me. I didn't want it. So you can go to www.moviereviewsnc andmore.com, moviereviewsandmore.com. And then the other one is our YouTube channel, youtube.com/movie reviews, the letter N, Nancy, more, movie reviews and more. And the reason why that's different, because YouTube wouldn't let me have A and D for some strange reason. So we had to use N.
We've got that. So moviereviewsandmore.com or movie reviews and more for YouTube. Brian, thank you so much for being my guest today. I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.